All right, we got to let it breathe while we get the Facebook groups in here and then wait for a couple green check marks. All right, all right, all right. Just got to wait for those green check marks here. Um, there they are. Welcome into another episode of the Dove Valley Deep Divers. I'm your host, Erick Trickel, and joining me tonight is the one and only Lance Sanderson. Lance, we didn't have you on last week, and I ended up having a pretty good show about covering, breaking down the Houston Texans, going into it with Chad. So 2 games now are under the belt. So quickly, why don't you give us some thoughts about the Texans game, even though that's old news, and then we can dive a little bit more into the Raiders game and what's to come over the next couple weeks.
Well, first and foremost, I mean, this defense is legendary with what they're able to do against the Houston Texans, an offense that has not necessarily got its feet underneath themselves for the most part over the season, but to go out and go not only knock out CJ Stroud, but get after Davis Mills, 5 sacks in that game, then to come out again and on a short week get 6 sacks against this Las Vegas Raiders team. This defense is otherworldly, guys. That's the first and foremost takeaway that I have for you guys. But the second thing is, are we starting to get concerned about Bo Nix? And I'm going to preface this by saying that, yeah, it's still early. It's still young in the season. But the regression from Bo Nix over the last couple of weeks is notable. And that, to me, is something we really need to start breaking down.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun conversation. I will say this before we even get into that conversation, which we will later in the show, is that when you're sitting at 8-2, your quarterback has a little bit more time. Like,
Yeah.
you are winning despite his play in some of these games. Some of his plays, it's been that magical fourth quarter that he's managed to spark that has helped you win. So he's had his hand in this. So it is one of those aspects of that Bo Nix still has more time. He should get the rest of the season barring injury,
Oh,
and
yeah.
even into next season. How long into next season, that depends on how he plays next year.
Right. And I guess my big point here is, yes, this Broncos team is 8-2. And they're consistently winning close games, which they didn't do last season. But right now at 8-2, constructive criticism is always warranted. And if you guys have been a part of Dove Valley Deep Divers over the last 6 years, we've been doing the show for almost 6 years now. That is something that Eric and I have always done, is we bring constructive criticism, breaking down the tape and bringing you stuff that actually matters. To me, there's more to break down than just, yeah, this team is 8-2. Yeah, the defense is great. The offense is terrible. How can we break down and explain to you what's actually going on with this Broncos team? I'm going to start to bring that to you, at least in my opinion, over the next handful of weeks. So hopefully you guys don't hate me. Hopefully you guys don't back out, and hopefully we can continue to have some fun on some Friday afternoons.
Yeah, but before we get into that, we're going to talk about some of the news from today, post-game news. Then we're going to dive into the defense because, I mean, there is a lot of positives about this defense.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'll get into the offense and all the ugly nitty-gritty stuff. I almost said a bad word there about it. Before we get to that, we do have to say hello to some people in the chat. We have David Papa Bear McGilrath coming in saying, "Good evening, Broncos country." Hashtag 13-4. I'm still right there with you. That was my preseason prediction. And despite the offense playing terribly, I'm still standing pat at 13-4. We have Carter saying, "Love the Hufanga signing. Love it even more now. What a beast. Hope he stays healthy." And we have one of the best in the NFL at safety. I said this on today's show, and I've said it over a couple different shows. Bringing in Talanoa Hufanga is the best free agent signing for the Broncos and is the best non-quarterback free agent signing in the NFL. And the reason for that is all last year we talked about it. Nick talked about it. Like a lot of people talked about it. Patrick Surtain was the straw that stirred the drink for the defense. Talanoa Hufanga gave them a second straw. So the defense, while they have made some changes, they're still able to play to their strengths because of the way they're able to utilize Talanoa Hufanga. And that, again, being able to have 2 straws that stir the drink, well, we're reaping the rewards of that with Patrick Surtain out.
Yeah. Talanoa Hufanga, I mentioned this in the group chat with Nick and Carl and Eric the other day. Talanoa Hufanga is my most favorite player on this Broncos roster right now. The fire that he plays with, the intensity he brings, the versatility he brings to the back end of that secondary, and also the front 7. with his ability to play as a blitzer, his ability to play as a linebacker, his ability to play against tight ends in coverage. I mean, what the Broncos have done with Vance Joseph in his play calling and accentuating the skill set of Talanoa Hufanga against tight ends over the last handful of weeks. I mean, yeah, you get the one catch for 31 yards from Brock Bowers, the big explosive play against the Texans from Dalton Schultz, and then Jake Ferguson, another player at the tight end position who had at that particular point I thought was leading the NFL in receiving yards at the tight end position. 0 catches, 1 catch for Dalton Schultz and 1 catch for Brock Bowers for 31 yards. Talanoa Hufanga is the biggest part of that, and with Pat Surtain being out of the game here lately, Talanoa Hufanga is really the guy that stirs this drink right now for this Broncos defense.
Yeah, and we have plenty of people to say hello to in the chat, but we're going to have to do that here in just a second, as we do have a word from our presenting sponsor, Lance.
Yeah, guys, football season is in full swing, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all of the action. Are you guys ready to get off the bench and into the game? Then head over to Underdog. Whether you guys are into basketball, football, hockey, or any sport in between, Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action all season long.
That's right. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, passing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and so much more. You can get your picks right, and you guys can win up to 5,000 times your cash.
Yeah, guys, I have so much fun playing on Underdog. Can't hit the bets right now, but it's all about just having some fun. But guys, winning money while you're watching football, that's a touchdown, guys. Unload Underdog app today and sign up with promo code MHuddle to score $100 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. Again, guys, that's promo code MHuddle. Millions of fans have already won billions of dollars making picks on Underdog. Will you guys be next?
Be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
And thank you, Underdog, for the sponsorship. We appreciate that. But we have Naj coming in saying, hey, brothers, great seeing you bros at the meet and greet. This Dobbins news crushed me. Hoping he's good to go soon. As for Knicks, national media has labeled him as a bust. We are a fluke, blah, blah, blah. Knicks has a chance to change that narrative. Naj, first of all, hope you're not feeling too bad over, what happened that week. It's always great seeing you, man. I know how crushed you were, and I don't want to get too much into it because I don't know if it's been brought up on the show before, but man, you're a great dude. You're awesome. It was absolutely fun hanging out with you guys and your group of friends and everything like that. It was a blast while we were there, and it's always great to meet you. And as for the Dobbins news, obviously that's the topic of this. He suffered a foot injury against the Raiders late in the third quarter. It was like about 4 minutes and 34 seconds is when they're pegging it at. And the claim is that it was off a hip drop tackle. And J.K. Dobbins took to Twitter about it today. But before we get into that aspect of it, he is seeking a second opinion on the foot. Hopefully it's not serious because the Broncos have some questions at the running back position afterwards. RJ Harvey has done great as a receiver out of the backfield. Running the ball, he's good for one big run about every 10 carries at the rate he's been, and he just hasn't been able to find that consistency. Tyler Bidet, I don't even know what to do with him anymore. And Jaleel McLaughlin, the one time he was active this game, it wasn't great. So who knows what kind of condition he's going to be if he ends up having to play for this one, which if Dobbins isn't good to go against the Chiefs, that's likely the case. But as for the Dobbins play, Lance, I went back and watched over this play. Dobbins can sit there and, take to Twitter about it. That was not a hip drop tackle. That was a regular tackle. So hip drop is that you're throwing your hips down to drag them down. This was not a normal tackle, but it wasn't a hip drop tackle. He's not throwing his weight. He's just dragging them down to the ground. Not a hip drop tackle.
No, it wasn't a hip drop tackle. And it's unfortunate that he got rolled up on in the aftermath of that play. But this injury is not necessarily a huge deal right now, unless the second opinion comes back and he's got like some kind of a foot sprain or a broken bone in his foot, because The Broncos have 23 days right now. They have one game in the next 23 days. They have the mini bye going into the Kansas City Chiefs game. Then they have the bye week before they play the Washington Commanders. So there's plenty of time for J.K. Dobbins to get healed up from whatever foot ailment he may have, unless there's some kind of I don't want to speculate or anything like that, but the possibilities here: a Liz Frank, a Jones fracture. There's multiple different things that could be going on with his foot right now. But to me, it's not a huge deal. And for him to go and take to Twitter the way that he did, I mean, I get it. There's been multiple injuries on hip drop tackles. I believe the Cam Scatterboot injury was more of a hip drop tackle than what happened to J.K. Dobbins, and Cam Scatterboot had his ankle facing the absolute wrong direction. At least we escaped that. At least the Broncos escaped that kind of an injury with what happened with J.K. Dobbins.
Lance, I got to say, never change, man. We've been doing this for almost 6 years, and you always will say, no, I'm not going to speculate, and then you proceed to speculate. Every single time, man. It's always good. Always makes me smile. Always makes me laugh.
I'm not going to speculate on specifically what they could, like what it is, but I can always.
And then I'm going to get there and list a bunch of options about what it can be in, which is speculating. But going back to Naj here, he says, hoping he's good to go soon. Same here. Denver needs him. Yeah. He has been the best free agent signing on the offense side of the ball and the second best behind Talanoa Hufanga. He already has like almost 250 yards more than what Javonte Williams brought to the team last year. Yep. So definitely need him. He is that consistent runner that they have and that they need, and they were able to ride him out to the victory to close out the game. Now, as for Nix, as he brings up, national media has labeled him as a bust. We were a fluke, blah, blah, blah. Nix has a chance to change the narrative. He does. And I'm not saying he's a bust. Like, I'm not there yet. But he's been playing terribly most of the season. It just hasn't been that blatantly bad.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just, just one element. It was every single element of being a quarterback was terrible against the Raiders. His decision-making, his placement, his footwork, his pre-snap reads, his post-snap reads, everything was wrong with Bo Nix last night. And I actually just got done doing a film piece up on that. That's going to be coming out sometime over the next few days. Not sure exactly when. There was so much wrong with him, but it's not like we haven't seen Nick struggle and then start to do well. And last year was about a mini bye week or the bye week. I can't remember exactly which, where he started to really put things together and really started to, look like he could be a long-term starting quarterback or a franchise quarterback, whatever terminology you want to use. This is a mini bye week. There's plenty of opportunity. This is a highlight game in terms of what not to do for him. Now, can Davis Webb and Sean Payton get through to him about making these changes? Can they get him to calm down? Can he take a moment? And this is something that Nick and I talked about. Nick was talking about him going and doing some of the green stuff that's legal in Colorado. My thought is more, go sit and meditate, take away, disconnect from the world, relax your mind, relax your body, because he really seems to be pressing himself a little bit too much. And that is leading to not all of these issues, but a good number of them.
So right now, this Broncos offense is so inconsistent, and it's painful to watch, especially after what we watched with Bo Nix coming down the stretch of this last year, specifically like the Bengals game moving forward, where he was pushing the ball down the field. It's an execution thing to me, and right now, I think that Bo is so flooded with wanting to be this elite franchise quarterback. He wants to be the guy that can work within this Sean Payton offense. But the limitations that he has, not only with his arm strength, but right now with his footwork. I asked this question on Twitter, and I posted a poll at @LanceS_MHH. Go check it out. Broncos country, are you starting to lose faith that Bo Nix is the franchise quarterback of the future for this Denver Broncos team? I don't necessarily think so right now. And Eric, you said not yet, but there are signs right now. The regression in his anticipation, the regression in his footwork, the regression in his ability just to operate the offense in general right now are starting to be startling signs to me. I'm not there right now to say that Bo Nix is not the quarterback of the future, but I'm starting to have questions if he is, because again, the footwork, the mistimed throws, the inaccuracies, obviously this game against the Chiefs, they had to deal with some wind issues, and that may not have been an issue for the majority of the game, but it was definitely a factor early in the game. there's so much more to be desired from what Bo Nix is doing right now. And honestly, the limitations of what he has as a player right now are starting to limit the offense as a whole in terms of play calling. Eric, I brought this up to you in the group chat. Is it like a chicken or an egg kind of thing? Is it Bo Nix's limitations or is it Sean Payton's play calling? Which one comes first? Because it doesn't seem to be married right now with who Bo Nix is as a player.
It's not a chicken and egg conversation because when you watch this offense and you watch what Sean Payton's done, it's very obvious what is causing, I don't want to say the issues with the offense, but it's what is causing the force of the change with the play calling and the game planning and all that. And that is the limitations of Bo Nix. This type of offense is not what Sean Payton wants to play. It's not what he likes to do. Yes, he likes to have screens. He likes to have those quick passes. Those are parts of his offense. That isn't his whole offense like it has become since then. And that stems from the inability to operate a true drop back passing game that works the middle of the field. It isn't a chicken or the egg conversation because it's very clearly the limitations that Bo Nix is having right now. Whether he can get over them or not, that remains to be seen. But those limitations are what's brought about the change for it. And they're having to treat it as such. They're having to leave the field, cut the field in half so often because Bo Nix has, even going back to last year, has had issues reading a full field. But we're going to have plenty of time to talk about Bo Nix. We're going to have plenty of time to talk about this team in general. I want to get back to saying hello to some people in the chat. We have Jordan Lewis saying, is J.K. Dobbins missing some time right now? Too early to tell. We'll wait and see.
We don't know yet.
Hear back on the second opinion. It is a good sign that he was able to go back in the game and close it out. Michael Ronquillo coming in saying, good evening, Eric Lentz on Dev Valley Divers. Go Bo Broncos. Go Ronk. Glad to see you in here. We have Denver Luke saying, howdy, y'all. Howdy to you, Denver Luke, as well as your Machop. We have Flying Anchor Pig coming in saying, Bo is not playing good. Afraid we will waste an amazing defense and a really good offensive line. That's kind of the concern that you have. Like, you don't want to waste this defense, especially when you have so many pieces in place for the next 3 to 4 years and an offensive line that has so many pieces in place for the next 2 to 3 years. You don't want to waste it. So you really got to hope that Bo Nix is the light switch is able to be turned on. He's able to flip things around and go out there and play well over the next few weeks and give you more confidence in him going forward into next season. Chase Wellner coming in, not a member yet. Chase, still waiting on that, like we have with so many other people that have jumped in here. He says, would you consider this is the best defensive line in the NFL, not just top 3, the best? Yes. Against the pass. Against the run, I think that you can make the case that they're only top 5. But against the pass, as pass rushers, this is the best unit because they are able to get pressure from anywhere, and it has become a pick your poison with it. Do you try and double up Nick Bonito and Zach Allen? Well, Jonathan Cooper and John Franklin Myers are going to make you pay. Is it Allen and Franklin Myers? Well, then it's Cooper and Bonito. You can't double team everyone. You got to pick basically 2 out of the 3 that you're going to leave on 1-on-1s, and any single one of them can win those 1-on-1 blocks. And the Raiders stupidly chose Nick Bonito to be left on 1-on-1 blocks so often last night, which, my God, what is a bad sign for offensive play calling right there is to leave Nick Bonito, who is probably one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, not best edge defenders, best pass rushers, because the work as a run defender, that's never going to be there. So you got a lot left there. We have David Yonkin saying Sean will never bench Bo. He will go down and blaze. Yeah, I doubt that. And then David Young can also come in with the $5 super chat saying offense is terrible. I've been saying it all season. And 7 games left. This is the best. We are getting a waste of great defense and an offensive line. Hopefully they can get things turned around. We've definitely seen flashes of it. Granted, they were against terrible defenses. We saw the flashes against the Cowboys. We saw the flashes against the Cincinnati Bengals. We've seen some flashes against the Chargers, against the Colts. We've seen flashes of it. It's just a matter of finding consistency and not consistently taking steps back when you start to find consistency. And I remember talking about after the Cowboys game that game was a mirage. That was my fear, that the offensive success was due to how bad that defense was. And in the first half, that really was the case. There was miscommunication after miscommunication. The second half gave a little bit more hope for it, but it seems like that game really was a mirage.
That game in the Cincinnati Bengals game too, like defensive miscommunications and also not playing against what Bo Nix does well. Bo Nix does well against free releases and zone coverage. He's not a tight man coverage or a tight zone coverage. Any team that plays press or tight man against Bo is going to have success. The Bengals didn't do that, and the Cowboys didn't do that. And Bo Nix shredded both of those defenses because they allowed the easy access throws.
Yeah. We have Casey Nickel coming in with the $10 super chat. Thank you, Casey. We appreciate that. Saying coming in and saying, I look at what we were before Bo, and now I still believe in Bo. I can only imagine what is going through his mind after all the negativity today all over media. Number one, drops and doesn't help. The issue is there is a stat that factors in drops, and Bo Nix is still bottom 10 in adjusted completion percentage. That factors in drops. That is still an issue. Like, drops don't help, don't get me wrong, and it especially doesn't help because it can affect things beyond what the stat sheet can show. It affects the rhythm of the quarterback. That one drop can throw things a little bit off for him, but he's still not completing passes even without the drops. His placement's still all over the place. It's still erratic. Still believe in him. There's still the flashes that you can hang your hat on and bet that you can find consistency with him. It's just a matter of getting there. As I've said, not calling for him to be benched. I see a lot of people talking about how don't call for him to be benched if Sean Payton's not going to bench him. I haven't heard anybody call for him to be benched personally. And I am not calling for him to be benched. I am just simply saying that he gets the rest of this year and then into next year, and what happens next year, we'll get there when we get there. That depends on how he plays, but he gets the rest of this year, barring injury, because you still want him to bounce back. You want him to continue to figure out that balance with his mind, his body, his play, and find some consistency. So still a lot of reasons to have faith in him. The team is 8-2. That helps you buy more time. If this team was, probably instead of 8-2, if they were 6-4, then maybe we'd hear a little bit more of on a national scale of maybe benching Bo Nix for Jarrett Stidham if the offense is still having these issues. But 8-2, you're still winning despite him. You can still, a lot of these games, some of these games you're winning because of the magic that he's bringing in the fourth quarter, again, as I said earlier. So it is still a matter of you're writing it out, you're letting him see what he can do and see if he can finally develop going forward. Lance?
I'm here just waiting on you to stop talking there for a minute. God damn, you took about 5 minutes of the airspace. But no, I 100% agree with you. There's the regression that we're seeing right now with Bo Nix is something that I have big time concerns over. And it's not only decision making, it's the accuracy, it's the footwork, it's the playing within the scheme. It's not accentuating the skill set of Bo Nix from Sean Payton. There's a certain point of how does the play calling actually help Bo Nix be an effective passer of the football? And every now and again, you have to kind of point the blame to Sean Payton a little bit. But where we're at with Bo last year and to now, it's definitely regressed. It's 100% regressed. And Bo, over the last couple of weeks, seems rattled. He seems rattled in his post-game press conferences. He seems rattled in terms of just being a guy that wants to go out and make plays. It's not good right now, Broncos country. To me, it's not good. And it's something to start to monitor. I'm not saying that he's not the franchise quarterback of the future. I still believe that he has a 75% chance of being there. Number one in drops doesn't help from the wide receivers. Absolutely. You're correct on that there, Casey Nickel. But how many of those drops are on Bo Nix's inconsistencies and erratic ball placement? Where does he put the football in terms of where these receivers are running their routes and how the timing of the play develops? There's so many different multitudes of why this offense can't get their feet going. And 90% of them right now land at the feet of Bo Nix, both figuratively and literally. Because if he plays with better footwork, he hits the deep shots. If he plays with better footwork, he hits the shots over the middle of the field. If he plays with better feet and utilizing his legs rather than scrambling to then make a last-second throw in a tight window instead of running for 7 or 8 yards, like there are so many issues with what's going on with Bo that's outside of the play calling that are causing problems for this Broncos offense. Point blank period.
We have Keith Brugman coming in saying, gentlemen, 4 carries in the first half versus the Raiders and the Texans. Don't blame it all on Bo. just to nitpick here, it was 6. It was 4 for J.K. Dobbins, 2 for R.J. Harvey. Doesn't change your point, and we're not blaming it all on Bo Nix. Bo Nix is the topic of conversation because his mistakes nearly cost him the game with that second interception. But Sean Payton deserves his blame, and the lack of running is part of it. And that is something that I wrote about last night, and you can talk about it. And I basically put it as Sean Payton should be embarrassed with himself for all the talk that he has about wanting to run the ball more. And then you call 6 runs in the first half to 18 passing attempts. That's not okay in no way, shape, or form. And it's not like it was being dictated. And it's not like in previous games where you can go back and watch and you can hear Bo Nix call kill, kill, kill. So the Broncos, they go to line with 2 plays. They have their pass play and the run play. Whatever is their main play, when you hear kill, 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 it means they're going to the other play. We didn't get that last night. So it wasn't Bo Nix was going up to the line saying kill, kill, kill and going out away from the run to the pass because of something he saw. That wasn't the case. Sean Payton just wasn't calling the run plays as the first option in for what they were seeing. And on top of that, of those 6 runs, what was it? 4 of them came with them within their own 10-yard line of the end zone. Like, unacceptable. Sean Payton deserves blame for this because we've seen time and time again over the season and last season when the offense is able to run the ball, the offense does find a little bit more consistency. There is no excuse for Sean Payton over that when it comes to the lack of running the ball, especially on a night where in the first quarter, the wind was so as bad as it was. And on a night where as a whole, your quarterback was playing as erratically as he was. And I know 100% that Sean Payton is going to be looking back at this and be like, oh yeah, we had 30 passing plays to 27 running plays. We had balance. Doesn't change the fact that of those 27 run plays, 21 of them came in the second half.
Exactly.
That isn't balance. Balance isn't at the end of the game. Balance is through quarter and halves.
Well, it's not even through quarter and halves. It's drive to drive. Like, how balanced are you running the football drive to drive? And it's not even just this game against the Raiders. It's the game against the Texans. It's the game against the Giants. It's the game against the Cowboys. It's the game against the Bengals. The Bengals game is really the true only game of this season that we've seen there be a true run to pass balance on a drive by drive basis, because they were hitting on big time long runs in the running game early in drives. And then Sean Payton decided, you know what, to hell with it. We'll take a shot play every now and again. We're going to continue to run the football. Sean Payton's play calling right now is how do I put this?
Sean Payton's play calling is being dictated by the play of the quarterback. The only issue with Sean Payton's play calling is the lack of running plays being called.
It's a sequencing thing, and that's the one thing that I've always brought to this show over the last 5 times I've been on the show, and I understand I've been missing a lot of time. Whatever. Sean Payton's sequencing is really the biggest issue with the play calling. It's not the designs. It's not when he calls shot plays. It's not when he calls running plays. It's everything that he is doing right now is relatively good. There's open receivers all over the place. The designs are great. You're just not executing. It's the execution, whether it's from 10 behind the line of scrimmage or the offensive line up front, receivers not getting themselves open, running backs not hitting the holes. And J.K. Dobbins has been absolutely spectacular this season. I can't take anything away from what he's been doing in terms of his vision and patience and getting the yards that are blocked for him and even more yards that are not blocked for him. The play calling is not the problem. It's execution. And 90% of that, again, falls at number 10. It falls at number 10 because you got
and Adam Trautman.
Well, Adam Trautman, okay.
I had to get my dig on Adam Trautman at some point.
But I'm here for it, dude. I'm absolutely here for it. And that's the reason why they brought in Mercedes Lewis, by the way, is because Adam Trautman is terrible at the point of attack as a blocker.
The dichotomy of Adam Trautman is so interesting to me because this Broncos offense is more efficient and at their best when Adam Trautman is on the field. And the reason for that is because the day of slot tight ends is essentially dead unless you are absolutely elite at it.
Yep.
Give me inline ability over a big slot tight end. Sorry, Evan Ingram, you should be tight end 3 when Nate Atkins is back, to be clear. But Adam Trautman is so bad, it's like hard to believe that this offense is so much more efficient when he's out there on the field than when he isn't. Yep. And hat tip to Bo Nix on this one, on a 5-play drive that ended in a touchdown. Adam Trautman was responsible for 3 bad plays, and Bo Nix was still able to get it for a score. Congratulations, you overcame the anchor that is Adam Trautman. Anyways, I'm so frustrated.
All right, I'm gonna jump to the chat really fast.
We have Apple Kid coming in with the $5 super chat saying the reason people are flirting with the idea of starting Stidham is due to the fact that it would be a travesty to waste this defense. It's so elite. I will push back that this defense isn't elite. They are great. Elite defenses take the ball away. And we're starting to see a little bit more over the last couple weeks, which is great. But until we see it with more consistency, I'm not quite there that they're elite. You also have too many of those little miscues that lead to big plays. The Brock Bowers one, the Schultz one, Dalton Schultz one against the Texans, Bellinger for the New York Giants. Like you're having miscues between Alex Singleton and Brandon Jones with covering tight ends that's leading to some explosive plays. Elite defenses cut those down a little bit more. But I get what you're saying, that it would be a waste of this defense with the way that Bo Nix is playing. But we've seen a lot of Jarrett Stidham already, and he's not exactly much better.
No.
Like, if we want to go off a preseason play, all the power to you. But preseason play, when he's going against mostly third and fourth stringers by the time he's in, I'm not going to use that as a judge for what he can do against starters out there that most of them, a good portion of them, don't even play in the preseason.
Yeah, no, this whole Adam Trautman talk or Jarrett Stidham talk needs to be like cut off at the head. Seppuku, guys. Like seriously, we don't need to do this. This offense would look a lot better right now if they would just have better sequencing and if Bo Nix could figure out how to target a receiver over the middle of the field. Because Pat Bryant, Cortland Sutton, even Troy Franklin, the amount of times that they are open over the middle of the field is astonishing. Go back and watch the tape. Like seriously, put on the L22. When it's straight drop passing games, passing plays, there are guys wide open everywhere. And it's literally an execution thing. Execute. Just go out and execute the play as called. And you would have, honestly, I brought this up a couple different times. If you hit the deep shot to Troy Franklin against the Titans, you hit the deep shot to Marvin Mims against the Chargers, another deep shot to Mims against the Chargers. You've got against the Cowboys, a handful of different deep shots that would have turned that from a 44-point blowout to a 55-point blowout. You've got the Giants game where there's multiple different shots that would have been able to blow that game open before it got out of hand. Execute. Just go out and execute. Execute the basic point of this offense, and it can be one of the more explosive units in the NFL.
They already are.
Are there. And that's the crazy thing. This offense already does create a lot of explosive plays, especially on the ground. Run the damn ball, hit the explosive shot plays, and be an explosive offense.
Let me see if I can't find it for the explosive play rates for this, because the Broncos are not at the top, but they're middle of the pack going into this. Explosive play rate 5.9% of the time. The Seahawks lead, and they've been absolutely great with it, but 5.9% of the time. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14th, 13 or 14th, based off my quick count.
Middle of the pack.
Middle of the pack. And yeah, there's plenty of opportunities for it that are being missed for one reason or another. A lot of it's Bo Nix, some of it's receivers, tracking hands. There's a lot of issues that are causing it.
Yep.
David Youngkin saying, was with a $5 super chat, as well as being a member, was Bo sick last night? He was taking pills on the sideline, and Bo right now has a 18-9 as a starter. I don't know. I didn't see it. Whenever they showed him on the sideline, I stopped paying attention. There was stuff going on with my kid, so I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it. I know that there's been illness going through the locker room. Alex Palaczewski was questionable for the Texans game because he got ill. Quinn Miners actually left this game because he got ill. So I don't know. Could be. But don't know. Haven't heard anything. Haven't seen anything. Nobody said anything. And we have Denver Luke coming in with a $2 super chat saying Pat Bryant needs the ball more. He's got good hands. Not only that, but when Pat Bryant gets targeted, He's got like all but one of his catches have been for a first down or touchdown, if I recall off the top of my head.
Yep.
He's been reliable. Yes, he had one bad drop against the New York Giants. That was a bit high. Still was very catchable. But the rest, it's been great. And he's just earned more playing time as a blocker. It's time to get him out there and utilize him as a receiver. And a lot of the ways that you're trying to use Troy Franklin, you can switch over to Pat Bryant. I want to see a tunnel screen to Pat Bryant, not because of the speed, but because the vision and the angles he takes are significantly better than Troy Franklin. I think that you can capitalize off that. Is it going to be a big, 80-yard, DT level tunnel screen that we got for multiple years? No. But is it going to be, 8, 9, 10 yards, 11, 12 yards? Probably. I would like to see that a little bit more and get some designed plays to Pat Bryant into this offense.
I 100% agree with you. And this was the one player out of this draft class that I was most excited to continue watching, because Pat Bryant, while may not be the most explosive or speedy player at the wide receiver position, he's got the big body, the reliable hands, but he also has a vision, and he understands just how to create separation and get himself into a place where he can catch the football and turn and run. Like his ability with the ball in his hands after the catch is absolutely spectacular. If I remember correctly, so he obviously had the one against the Raiders last night. Did he have another one against the Cowboys as well, where there was a long catch and run? Like this dude just knows what to do with the ball in his hands.
I don't remember, but I did pull it up. All 10 of his catches have been either for a first down or a touchdown.
Yeah, like this dude, he knows what to do with the ball in his hands, and he consistently knows how to create separation. The guy runs over the middle of the field wide open 90% of the time he's on the field. And a lot of it's on dig and crossing routes, because he understands how to put his foot in the ground and just get flat. He gets flat to the line of scrimmage and takes away any kind of vertical separation from the defensive backs. He's trying to push the field vertically, but then he puts his foot in the ground and gets horizontal so quickly that he creates 5, 6, 7 yards worth of separation on defensive backs consistently. Every single play that Pat Bryant's on the field, he is wide open. Put the ball in his hands, Bo. Eric, tell me I'm wrong. The guy, whenever he cuts to the middle of the field, he is wide open, and there's not a receiver within like 10 yards of the guy. He's consistently wide open. It's crazy how he doesn't have the ball more often.
Not gonna lie, I tuned you out. No, not really. I was listening to what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying, and I've talked about that stuff before. But Keith Brugman caught my attention. Let's ship in and get Erick and Adam Trautman jersey. Let's not say we did. But I appreciate the joke.
I have a better jersey for him. Give him a Lance Ball jersey.
Hey, I don't mind Lance Ball. I would make another joke with a Lance Ball jersey that would probably get us in trouble with YouTube, so I won't make it. Anyways, Naj is coming in with another super chat, $10. Thank you again, Naj. We appreciate that. It says, being real, the Raiders one was a gift, and we'll take it. Coaches know how to shut down Knicks, so my thought is he has to run more to keep drives going. Peyton added pressure with his top 5 comments. Shook my head. Yeah, the preseason commentary about this team, both put on by Peyton and the rest, that doesn't help anything. Don't go out there and talk about your Super Bowl aspirations. Keep quiet. You didn't earn that kind of talk yet, internally or externally. Yep. You guys made the playoffs for the first time in 10 years. Yeah, that's great. And then you got your butts handed to you by a Buffalo Bills team that clearly outclassed you.
Yeah.
Like, I understand wanting to hype up your team, but there's ways to do it, and being as open as he is. And this is one of the things with Sean Payton that drives me nuts. He can be a little bit too open at times and add too much pressure and too much crud on things. Some of the stuff that he said about the New York Jets last year, or the year before, whenever that was, 2 years ago, 2023.
Yeah.
The year he made the Nathaniel Hackett comments, whenever that was.
Yep.
It's just been a couple times of him doing that. Like, man, I don't like it. And as for this, it is a gift. We will take this win. Don't get me wrong. I would rather be 8-2 knowing these issues than 2-8 and knowing these issues. Yeah. Because at 8-2, at least you are winning games, putting yourself in a position for the playoffs. And in the playoffs, anything can happen, right? Like that's the mantra, so to speak. Anything can happen in the playoffs. Hopefully Denver figures things out with their offense to where they can be a legitimate threat offensively. But if this defense continues as it is, that's great. They just need more out of this offense. And Lance, before I pass this back off to you, my biggest fear with this team is we're going to get a game where the defense collapses, and it's going to be a game where the offense finally does well, and everybody's going to sit there and hate this defense, hate Vance Joseph, hate what they did because of one bad game. That is my fear that we're going to get this year.
Honestly, I feel that's going to be this next week against Kansas City Chiefs.
Don't say it. I wasn't saying what week it was for a reason.
It's that's my fear. But honestly, again, guys, as Eric said, it's a hell of a lot more fun to talk about a winning football team, a team that's 8-2, where we can be constructively critical of what is going wrong with a team that's winning 8 games. You're number one in the NFL. Obviously, the rest of the league still has to play another game, but 8-2 is the best record in the NFL right now. You're number one in the AFC, number one in the NFL. There's still some issues, and being constructively critical about those issues are completely fair. Like, this is what we built this entire podcast around. Like I opened the show with this. If you can't take the constructive criticism about what's going on with this team, then the show's not for you. It's what we do. Regardless, being an 8-2 football team and taking a win against the Raiders on what is arguably the worst football, you know what? I didn't want to do it. I'm going to do it. This last game against the Raiders might be the worst football game you guys have ever seen. And I'm going to bring you statistically as to the reasons why. Since 1940, let me pull up the tweet on my phone. Since 1940, there have been 2 teams with 10-plus penalties in a single game, more penalties than first downs, more penalties than points, going an entire quarter without a first down, under 100 rushing yards, under 150 net passing yards, and missed a field goal, all in the same game. Since 1940. Those 2 teams played each other last night. That's how bad this game was. It's awful. But at the same time, the Broncos walked away with a victory. They did enough to win a game. They're 8-2. They're leading the AFC. They're leading the NFL. Take that for what it is. This team figures out how to win games. They're 5-2, I believe, in one-score games this year. They were 1-6 last year. This team's learning how to win. They're doing the things necessary to win games, and that is really the biggest takeaway that you can have. And how do you make the dichotomy of constructive criticism, but also taking the fact that they're 8-2? Where do you draw the line?
You can acknowledge that they're good where they're good at, and how that they're winning games, will still be not being oblivious or turning a blind eye to how bad the offense has been. Yeah. We haven't even talked about the defense, which is absolutely phenomenal. Outside of a few comments about Talanoa Hufanga, defense is phenomenal. Like, we talked a little bit about the defensive line. Riley Moss, I mean, there was a missed opportunity by the Raiders against him that fortunately got dropped. Like, there was a big blown coverage for a touchdown that they gave up that fortunately got called back. But this defense was great. It's just, when you have 2 of your 3 phases be as bad as they have been, it's tough, because the special teams is god awful. The offense was god awful in the last 2 games. Granted, I'll give them a slight pass for the Texans because of how tough that defense is. But at some point, and I said this morning, at some point the excuses got to stop, right? Yeah. We've talked about we've given excuses for this offense in just about every single bad game they've had this year. Titans game, well, it was the first game of the season. Colts, it was a road game. Chargers game, well, it's a divisional game. Then we had the Jets game, or the Eagles game. Well, we had to go over to Philadelphia in the early morning game, and then you go to London, and then you travel back for the Giants game, and then you had going to Texans with their tough defense, and now it's a short week. Every single game where this offense has struggled, there's an excuse for it. At some point, that has to stop. That doesn't mean the excuses aren't viable. It just means that at some point, it's up to the players on this offense. They're grown men. It's time for them to put up or shut up, to put on their big boy pants and go get the job done without the excuses. And so when you're sitting at 8-2, you're having a lot of excuses for the offense. There's no excuses given to the special teams, and the defense is playing great. I don't think it's difficult to acknowledge that, hey, we're 8-2. We currently have the best record in the NFL. We're sitting pretty with the lead in the division. We're sitting pretty with right now what is most likely after this weekend's game is going to be slated as the third pick or the third seed in the AFC West or in the AFC. Only reason why we're currently sitting with the best record right now is because a couple games haven't been played. Only one game's been played. So that's all. It's all great and everything, but there's still a lot of issues that need to be figured out because everybody knows every Broncos fan wants the same thing. Every Broncos fan wants the Broncos to win games, make the playoffs, win in the playoffs, make the Super Bowl, and win the Super Bowl. That should be the goal every single year. Some years it's not going to be as realistic as others, but every Broncos fan wants that. And to get there, you can't do it with the offense being as bad as it has been the past in most of the games this season, especially outside of 2 games this season.
Yeah, absolutely. The Bengals game, the Cowboys game, those are the specifically 2 outliers for the Broncos offense. We got Applicant jumping in here with a $5 super chat saying, I heard if we move off of Bo, that means we move off of Sean Payton. And I ask why. He's clearly a good head coach. Why fire him just because he whiffed on a draft pick? I haven't seen this. I'm not sure if you've seen it on Twitter, Eric, or anything like that. If they move off of Bo, it means move off of Sean Payton. Honestly, I think that Sean Payton has more teeth into this organization than Bo Nix does. And I think it's starting to become blatantly obvious as to why this team is struggling, especially offensively. And with Sean Payton and the trust that he has with Greg Penner and Kerry Penner and the Walton Penner ownership group, and with George Payton, if they did try to move off from Bo, I think that Sean would get at least another shot here. Purely speculative here. I think that with what Sean Payton has done to turn around the culture of this franchise over the last couple of years, even coming off of even with Russell Wilson a couple of years ago, I think that Sean Payton is the guy that's going to stick around longer if the organization wants to move off from Bo. What do you think? I'm struggling to try to find the right footing of how I want to describe this, Eric. So why don't you take it away from here?
So first of all, Applicant, thank you for your super chat. We appreciate that. This line of thinking comes from the fact that, and it's been talked about by a lot of people. I know Nick and I have even talked about it. Bo Nix was Sean Payton's handpicked quarterback. So if the captain goes down with the ship kind of stuff. But this is Sean Payton's team. He will survive Bo Nix. Whether he could survive a second quarterback, that remains to be the first little bit of his time here where he was stuck with Russell Wilson. That's going out the window because that wasn't his quarterback. Now he has a shot for it, and he's going to get another shot. But I think that this is a pointless conversation to have because I think the earliest we're even considering moving on from Sean Payton is after the 2026 season.
Yeah.
The only reason why we would be having that conversation is if Denver basically loses out the rest of the season and they don't win more than 4 or 5 games next year. That's the only way that you're even having that conversation.
Well, and even then, though, so you lose out the rest of the season, miss the playoffs, and only win 4 or 5 games next year. Why is Sean Payton on the hook for that? It's
his team. He built this team. That is why.
Well, I understand that, but at the same time, so you were typically the way that it goes is a general manager will get 2 head coaches. A head coach will get 2 quarterbacks. That's the way the hierarchy goes.
No, a head coach, not anymore. No.
Well, that's
you go look at a lot of the coaches that have been fired over the last 10 years, and you tell me how many quarterbacks they got. They got 1, and that was it.
Yeah,
on at least 85% of them, they got
fair
1.
enough.
But the difference here, is that Sean Payton has earned a lot more of a reputation, or has a lot more of a reputation, and has earned a lot longer of a leash. But again, this isn't a conversation I'm having until after next season, and that's only if things collapse. It's not happening. Just as, and we saw Pro 16K coming in here saying Bo is going nowhere. No one's saying he is going anywhere. Not yet, anyways. We'll see. This will be a conversation going in next year because he'll be here next year. He'll be starting to start next year. How long? That remains to be seen. We'll come to that when we get there. He's the starter this year. He's going to be the starter for the rest of this year, barring injury. Apple Kid saying Peyton did not handpick Bo. He just settled with him as he was the last quarterback on the board. Incorrect.
That's not true.
Peyton handpicked Bo Nix. Bo Nix was Sean Payton's guy, and the only quarterback that collectively the Broncos wanted more was Jaden Daniels. Collectively.
Yep.
Bo Nix was Sean Payton's dude, though. He was his handpicked guy.
Well, it goes back to the interview following directly after the draft, where they went and worked him out, and obviously the backpack story where the lacrosse ball came in, and it's like everything that was in Bo Nix's backpack was all football related, and the only thing that wasn't was a lacrosse ball to help him roll out his calves and his legs when he had cramps. It was literally all football related. And then when they went to the private workout, I think it was after the first 6 throws, Sean Payton's like, what are we doing here? This is the guy. This is the guy I want. This is the guy that needs to be in my offense. This is the guy that I want to be driving the ship for the Broncos moving forward. This was Sean Payton's handpicked guy. That's why this is not going anywhere. Like that right there, if Bo Nix doesn't become the player that Sean Payton thought he was going to be, it not only damages Bo Nix, it damages Sean Payton. And that's the point that everybody needs to latch onto is if Bo Nix fails, Sean Payton is not going to be the head coach moving forward because
why are we having this conversation? It is a pointless conversation.
It is. It absolutely is. So Eric, this is Sports Talk Radio 101. Like if we're going to have a conversation about this sports talk, this is what Sports Talk Radio does. It's not what we do, but this is what Sports Talk Radio does. They bring up every
so you want to so you want to conform to the masses?
No, absolutely not.
Shame on you, man. Shame on you.
I'd love to be in Sports Talk Radio. At least I could hear my voice talk even more than it already does. I got a great voice, and I love the way it sounds and strong opinions.
You're on something. Anyways, we're about out of time here tonight. It's been a fun conversation. It's definitely flown by. I've seen some people making predictions. Naj came in and made a prediction about the Chiefs game, saying Knicks will throw for 250 and 2 touchdowns versus the Chiefs in a statement game. Save that for next week. We'll be back next Friday, and we'll be breaking down the Chiefs game. We'll be getting into that. But for now, take a step back. It's not the end of the world. The offense was awful, but have hope they can bounce back. Despite all the hate that Sean Payton getting, he has a pretty good offensive mind. He's a pretty good offensive play caller. Doesn't mean it's perfect. Doesn't mean there aren't issues. I feel like there's a lot of times when you say that somebody's good at something, that means that they're perfect at it. That's not the case. Expecting perfection in anything with football is absolutely ridiculous. Even, the best players ever made mistakes. It happens. It's a way of life, or it's part of life. This defense is phenomenal. There is a lot to be positive about with this team, but there are still a lot of concerns for it. This offense has to figure out, and I'm going to break my camera if it doesn't stop freezing up, because it freezes up and makes me look awful. Stop it. Anyways, Keith Brugman saying, get me a Trautman jersey. Get me a new webcam with Adam Trautman's face on it, man. At this point, I'm so tired of my camera.
Anyway. Hold on. If Keith gets you a new webcam with Adam Trautman's face on it, and you have to stare at that for the rest of your being, I'd
have to be very careful about when I talk with my hands, because certain fingers are going to be up the whole time aiming at the camera.
Oh man.
Anyways.
Good show.
There's a lot to be excited for with this team. Even still, the offensive line and the running game, they are still in place. Sean Payton needs to pull his head out of his butt and realize that, hey, your offense needs to go through the running game at this point going forward to help take that pressure off your quarterback, who is very clearly feeling too much pressure. And that's as simple as it is. And Naj saying, Eric, we just want him to run the ding ball. 100%. I'm in agreement with you, Naj. I mean, we talked about this at the meet and greet. We both hammered the point home, I think, on the post game pod that we did. It is a definitely something that needs to happen. And again, as I said earlier, and as a whole article I have written up on it on milehighhuddle.com, Sean Payton should be embarrassed with his first half play calling. Second half was a little bit better, but he should be embarrassed with the first half.
Can I jump in really fast? He should be embarrassed with his first half play calling, but he also should be embarrassed with his entire game plan and play calling in the Houston Texans game.
Yeah, that was one game where if you want to talk bad about Sean Payton's play calling, I'll give you, I think it was the New York Jets game and the Houston Texans game. So I'll give you those. Outside of that, no.
So the Jets game was terrible. The Texans game was bad. This last game against the Raiders was awful. Those are the three biggest games you could place on Sean Payton's feet. Your play calling was terrible.
He called it, outside of a handful of plays, he called a good game, and the lack of running in the first half. He called a good game against the Raiders. It's not just about what's being called; it's about the play designs, it's about the play designs, and it's about attacking where defenses are weak at. He was calling passing plays that were attacking the Raiders where they were weak at.
Yeah. No,
he was calling plays that were attacking where the Raiders were weak at in general in the running game. And that the issue was he just wasn't calling enough runs, which is where the Raiders are most susceptible to it, and wasn't able to take advantage of it. That is an issue. That doesn't mean it was a bad game for him with the play calling.
Well,
two things can be true here.
It's a sequencing thing, and I agree with you 100%. The Jets game, terrible sequencing. His sequencing was absolutely terrible against the Jets. The Texans, play calling in general was awful. That was a bad game. The Raiders game, there were a couple of sequencing issues that I really had issues with. But for the most part, he's doing everything to accentuate the skill set of the offense and every single individual player on the offensive side of the football. He has to be better in sequencing, and there are issues there. But this Raiders game, sequencing, problem. The Jets game, problem. The Giants game, problem. The Texans game, problem.
Sequencing against the Giants wasn't a problem.
And also understanding the situation. Against the Raiders, the first 4 possessions you have, 2 of them start inside the 1-yard line. How do you sequence that? You have to start running the football, and he did. He ran the football, got 5-6 yards on both of those plays. Bo Nix misses a wide open receiver, and what was the second one? I don't remember. Regardless, they're sequencing. There's multiple issues going into the play calling that are definitely problems. There's sequencing issues for sure. Designs are fine for the most part. Sean Payton's actually been pretty damn decent as a play caller.
The biggest sequencing issue against the Raiders was the third down called with Cortland Sutton.
Yeah,
that was the biggest sequencing.
Yep.
That was probably one of 2 sequencing issues that he had in that game.
Yep.
You and I are in full disagreement here. I do not think this was a bad game from Sean Payton overall, outside of the lack of running in the first half. And that's about it. Giants game, man, he was really trying to attack where the Giants were weak at. That was execution issue as error after execution error.
Yep.
But anyways, that's going to have to do it for us tonight. Disbanded Brotherhood, thank you for the chuckle here. I can't flash it on the screen. We get in trouble, but that definitely put a smile on my face.
I see it too.
We do have to get out of here, but before we get out of here, I want to say thank you to everybody in the chat joining us on this wonderful Friday night. I am going to be getting out of here and going and playing in the snow with the kid.
Wait, you
looking forward to that, but not looking forward to being cold. But before we get out of here, I do got some matters of business to go. I almost forgot about all of this. here. If you guys can do so, as you can see going across the member of the screen, bottom of the screen, we want to say welcome to all of our members here over on YouTube. And if you are not a member over on YouTube, you can become one at, as you see scrolling across the bottom of your screen, youtube.com/@MileHighHuddle, where you guys can get access to exclusive content like Kelberman's Quarter and Broncos Book Club and some other stuff that is likely going to be coming after the season. I know that there is a draft show or two a draft show that I want to do once or twice a week, depending on what Chad says for that. Which, hey, that is the time to do it. You guys also, if you super chatted or stars, we want to thank you guys so much for doing that. That is one way that helps us keep the lights on. I'm able to do this every single day of the week and twice in the mornings. And if you didn't pay attention to this morning show, there might be some changes coming with when we are doing the morning shows. Mondays will be staying, but there's some talk about moving our Wednesday show to Fridays, just for ease of schedule on my behalf, since I am going to be getting up at 4:00 in the morning for these shows here soon in the morning, as well as some stuff on Nick's side of it. You guys can also subscribe, like, and share. Those are ways that can help us with the algorithm. It only takes a matter of time and helps us with those algorithms, as I said, that are ever changing, especially on Facebook and YouTube, that are ever being headaches for us on our end. You guys can also take a matter of time to go over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star review for a chance to win some gear, not swag. I hate saying swag every single month. You guys can also follow us on Instagram at @MileHighHuddle with an underscore between Mile and High and Huddle. And if you guys are able to do so, especially with the holidays coming up, maybe you have friends or families who are also Mile High Huddle fans, you guys get them some merch at mhhmerch.com and let them get their gear on, not swag. Again, I hate saying swag. You guys can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/@facebook.com/MileHighHuddle, facebook.com/MileHighHuddlePod, where you guys can be part of the wonderful Facebook community that we have built up over the last 11 or 12 years. Again, I can never remember how long it's been. It's been almost as long as I've known my wife. Wow. Like, it just clicked that it really has been longer than I've known my wife. I was doing Mile High Huddle before I met her. You guys can also follow us on Twitter at Mile High Huddle, at @DVDD_pod, at Erick Trickel, and at Lance S_MHH. Yes, I got it without looking on that one.
Yes. Yeah,
and at MHH Pod. We appreciate you guys coming in so much and throwing down all of it, and the super chats and stars. Naj coming in with multiple super chats. Papa Bear coming in. David Youngkin coming in a couple times. Casey Nickel, Apple Kid came in a couple times. Denver Luke. We appreciate you guys so much. And if anybody sent stars over on Facebook, unfortunately, we do not have access to that, so we're not able to see stars on Facebook. So if you did come in and we miss it, we apologize, but we still want to say thank you so much for that and for your guys' support. But before we get out of here, any last words, Lance? Got to keep it pithy because I just got a text that we need to get off.
Just it blows my mind. You've been a part of Mile High Huddle for longer than you know your wife. That made me laugh. This show is older than Caven is, by the way, my youngest son. But it's been a pleasure. Remember, guys, that there's always room for constructive criticism, even though the Broncos are 8-2, and that's what we'd like to bring to you guys. You all stay safe and take care. Have a great rest of your weekend, and as always, go Broncos.
Yeah, bringing it up is I am one of the 2 original members of Mile High Huddle.
Yes, you are.
With Chad and I. So it's just amazing to think about where I was back then. Which, before we get out of here, if you guys are struggling mentally, please reach out and get help.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Especially after the news that hit the storylines this week. Please do so. Mental health in men is often ignored or pushed down. I know this for my own issues that I've had battling mental health issues, including where I was, 10 years ago about the start of this time. So please reach out to somebody. My Twitter DMs are always open for anything, whether you want to talk football or talk about, struggles, whatever it is. Please reach out to somebody. People are there and people are willing to listen. But we are going to have to wrap it up tonight. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Don't drink and drive. And as my good friend Nick says, make sure you guys choose kindness and compassion. And of course, go Broncos.